I was elected sheriff 5 years ago, after working as a deputy under my predecessor for 20 years. The race was tight, and I won by around 100 votes. This town has never been quite right. We're in the middle of nowhere, America. Our town is so small we don't even appear on the map. I grew up here, but it was only when I got into law enforcement that I started realizing the extent of the weirdness that goes on around here. The people are typically friendly, except when you're arresting them, and the vast majority of calls we get are drunk and disorderly charges at the single bar in town, property disputes, or the occasional sheep or cattle rustler. However, without fail, we will once a week get a call from a local farmer at exactly 3:34 p.m. about a strange-looking man walking through his front yard. The farmer's name is James Nelson. Since this is such a small town, I personally take a great many calls, especially since I only have one deputy who spends more time drunk than a lot of the people we take in from the aforementioned local bar. Honestly, I'd be afraid to ride with the man when he's sober. Usually, we get the call, I jump in my 20-year-old Tahoe and run the 40-minute trip to Nelson's farm. Obviously, when I get there, the man's gone, and we've tried waiting there for him several times. The first few times, I thought the man was drunk, high, lying, or some other form of irrational. However, when week 5 rolled around and Nelson again called into the station, I figured there must be some truth to it. Nelson describes the man as short, in a dirty suit and tie. He says the man looks disheveled, but he won't speak to Nelson when he tries, just tips his hat and walks into the woods. Nelson tried to follow him once, but as soon as he entered the woods, the man vanished. Mr. Nelson built his farmhouse and barns back in the 1990s, so it's not some ghostly aspiration of a previous owner. The only way I can explain this away is that it's some sort of homeless person who got a hold of a suit and is living in some hideout in Nelson's woods. Today at 3:34, I got a phone call from Nelson. This time it was different. Nelson said that the man was standing, dead still in his yard, looking through his front window. Thinking I may have finally got a way to stop the constant phone calls from Nelson, I jumped in my truck and drove to Rolling Run Ranch with my lights and sirens blaring. Made the drive in 30 minutes instead of 40, and when I arrived there, as promised, a man in a suit standing in Nelson's front yard. I got out of my unit and placed my hand on my sidearm. Sheriff's Department, I'm gonna need you to place your hands in the air, sir. The man was about 5'3", probably around 140 pounds, wearing a dirty suit and tie, with a top hat. When I spoke to the man, he didn't put his hands up. He just turned towards me with a big toothy grin. Sir, raise your hands. I inched closer to the man. Sir? The man just stood there, with that big creepy toothy smile on his face. I continued inching closer, and when I was just outside of grappling distance to cuff the man, he turned and bolted. I chased after him, but the moment he got to the trees, he vanished. Just like that. Gone. He passed behind a tree, and just poof. Gone. I searched the woods, looked where he was standing in the yard, and there was no sign of the man. I searched the woods, looking where he was standing in the yard, and there was no sign the man was ever there. No depression in the grass, no prints in the mud, nothing. It was like the man was never there. I walked to the door of the house and told Nelson the man was gone. He was understandably unhappy that I hadn't caught him. But in my defense, I'm 46 years old. I'm no spring chicken or young deputy. I gave Nelson my cell phone number and told him to give me a call if the man came back. I got maybe 5 minutes away from the ranch when I got a call from Nelson. Sheriff Baker? Yes, who's this? It's Nelson again. Sheriff, he's back. At this, I whipped my unit into a U-turn and raced back to the ranch. When I arrived again, the man was sure enough standing exactly where he was the first time I got there. I parked my truck and got out, careful to shut my door as quietly as possible. I snuck up behind the man, careful to be silent, and suddenly, as hard as I could, shouldered him in the back, knocking him over. I got on top of him and cuffed him, read him his rights, and put him in the back of my unit. I notified Nelson and got back in my truck to take the man back to the station. On the ride back, I tried to ask the man questions. He wouldn't tell me his name or answer any other questions. He just gave me that unsettling smile. That's when I noticed that his eyes had begun to glow red. I didn't talk anymore on the way back. When I got back to the station, I again tried to question the man, but again got nothing but that creepy smile and the glowing red eyes. I put the man in the holding cell and charged him with trespassing and evading arrest in order to keep him there until I get a straight answer of who he is. I have a lot more stories from this small town, and I'm sure I'll be getting more in the future. I'll continue to update as time goes on. I just hope I don't get another call from Ralph about that screaming in his cupboards again. Sheriff Baker, signing off.